Mr. Mohammad ظریف says that former Secretary of State John Kerry told him about Israel's covert operations in Syria. Well, Kerry had previously been accused of colluding with Iranian leaders to undermine the Trump administration, specifically when it comes to the Iran nuclear deal. Well, joining us now to discuss is former Chief of Staff for the National Security Council, Fred Fleitz, and Senate Chairman for the National Iranian Congress, Amir Farkhvar. Thank you both for joining us. Definitely appreciate it. So, Fred, I'll start with you. All of this is coming out of this article that was in the New York Times. There was one little line at the end of the article that talks about this, and it said, quote, former Secretary of State John Kerry informed him, being ظریف, that Israel had attacked Iranian interests in Syria at least 200 times. To his astonishment, Mr. ظریف said. What is the significance of that statement to you?
Well, Heather, it's a stunning revelation, and it is just as stunning that the major newspapers aren't talking about it or are burying it at the end of their coverage. We've long known that Kerry just does not have common sense in foreign policy. Look at all the concessions he made to the Iranians during the nuclear deal. They got anything that they wanted. He's walking around now treating climate change as a much higher priority than the threat from China. But we saw during the Obama administration a foreign policy that was Iran-centric and was very hostile to Israel. And now we're finding how hostile it really was.
Yeah, Amir, let's talk about Iran for a second. They're trying to develop nuclear weapons, and we rely on Israel to do some of the dirty work to protect us because we don't really want them with nuclear power. Yet it sounds like John Kerry is focusing on the population of that country that considers us a friend, but those are not the ones in charge.
But we are correct. The case is we are relying on Israel too. Believe it or not, we means the Iranian people, 96% of the country who we are disagree with the mullahs who are in power and have just they do have just 4% of the population. And you won't believe it. Every time the Israelis, they are doing something, some attack, something against the Revolutionary Guard or regime, Iranian people, they are getting so happy on social media. It's everywhere. They are just celebrating. And this is the reality of Iran. But about this specific leaked file, interview file, it was March when the interview happened. It's 3 hours, 11 minutes interview. It's supposed to be Zarif's interview to announce his candidacy for the coming election, presidential election in Iran, which is all is show. Zarif wanted to use this as propaganda. But then at the end of interview, he realized, oh, my God, he mentioned a lot of things he shouldn't say. And then he asked the reporter, Saeed Leilas, don't publish this interview. Right. Then just leaked, and a lot more is in it. Another part of this interview is the Qasem Soleimani, the terrorist who President Trump helped Iranian people to kill him. Qasem Soleimani was the official attack dog of Putin and Kremlin.
Right.
And so, even Zarif says, oh, we were not happy that Qasem Soleimani is running the Iranian foreign ministry.
Yeah. Fred, I want to go back to, though, John Kerry specifically and his role in this and what we now know that he was possibly doing while the Trump administration was trying to negotiate the Iran nuclear deal. If, in fact, this turns out to be true and he was in any way trying to undermine it, or if he was even sharing secrets as to what Israel was doing, if that alone is what he was doing, what should happen to John Kerry, and should there be an investigation?
Let's be very clear here. Kerry gave away not just classified information, but classified information from a trusted ally. Who is going to trust the United States if the Secretary of State will hand over such extremely sensitive information? On top of that, there are multiple reports that Kerry was colluding with the Iranians during the Trump administration to undermine Trump's Iran policy and to help promote this fraudulent.
That's illegal, right, Fred? That's illegal?
It's illegal. It should be investigations, should be prosecutions, but I don't think Joe Biden's going to do that.
Well, that may be true. Fred Fleitz, Amir Farkhvar, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Good to be here. Thank you.